Hello everyone, good day. This is a special session about journalizing business transactions. So I have here 10 examples of business transactions in which we will create the related journal entries. But before we go to that, let's first review our previous topic, starting with the components of journal entry. So we have here the transaction date, the debit account, the debit amount, the credit account, and the corresponding credit amount, and the description. So also, please be mindful of the indentation in here. So for credit amount and the credit account, it should be indented. So meaning, dili siya pwede mo tupong sa debit accounts or sa debit amounts if credit siya. So dapat but nga nimo siya space before. The transactions can be recorded using a simple entry or compound entry. So again, simple entry has only one debit and one credit. Compound entry has at least two debits or two credits. So that's for the components. Let's move to the double entry bookkeeping system in which for every account, there is always a debit and a credit. To familiarize the normal balances of the different group of accounts, we have this acronym, DEAL, CLIP. So deal has a normal balance of debit, while CLIP has a normal balance of credit. Deal means drawings, expenses, assets, and losses. So these accounts increase whenever they are debited and that they will decrease if they are credited. Meanwhile, CLIP means capital, liabilities, income, and profits. So these accounts has a normal credit balance, so meaning if they are credited, they will increase. And if they are debited, the accounts under these groups will decrease. Now let's go to our first example. Rendered services to Naruto Company for 63,000 cash on January 15, 2022. So the journal entry for this one is this. However, I will not discuss the date and the description since these are already self-explanatory. So we will focus our discussion to the debit account and the corresponding amount and the credit account and its amount. So let's go back to our example. So in this one, we received cash. So cash is part of our asset, which means that naa siya normal debit balance. So if imo siyang i-debit, that means it will increase. And then on the other hand, income account. So this is part of our CLIP acronym in which the normal balance is credit. So if imong i-credit ang income account, that means i-increase ang income. That's why for this example, our final journal entry is a debit to cash for 63,000 and a credit to service income for 63,000. So notice that wala natong gitupong ang service income ug ang cash. Next example, on May 9, 2022, rendered services to Koichi Company for 84,000, receiving a 30% down payment and the balance on account. So in this transaction, it only means nga naatay gitrabaho kay Koichi Company, pero wala ta gibayaran in full. So we are just given 30% sa down payment and the remaining 70% kay iyahan ng giutang. So to record this transaction, the accounts involved are the following. Cash account. The cash account pertains to the 30% down payment and the accounts receivable. So meaning na atay kolektahonon in the future. So that is the 70% of our invoice amount. And since nag-render man tay service to Koichi, and it is a credit to service income amounting to 84,000. So to get the cash account and the accounts receivable account, this is our calculation. So the formula for down payment is invoice amount times percentage. So our invoice amount here is the 84,000 times the down payment, which is 30%. 84,000 times 30% equals 25,200. So mauna siya atong na-receive nga cash. For accounts receivable naman, the formula is invoice amount minus down payment.
So invoice amount is 84,000 minus down payment amount, which is 25,200, which equals to 58,800. So this is an example of a compound entry. So we have 2 debit accounts and just 1 credit account. Next, paid various office supplies as papers, pen, and ink for 3,100 cash on March 30, 2022. The journal entry for this one is a debit to your office supplies for 3,100 and a credit to your cash for 3,100. Office supplies is part of your assets, and the normal balance for assets is debit. That's why atong gi-debit ang office supplies kay para mo increase siya. Meanwhile, since nagbayad man ta og cash, so ni-decrease atong asset. That is why we credited the cash account for 3,100. Next, purchased printer from Not Enterprise for 8,700 on account on August 8, 2022. So in here, may pagkapareha siya sa previous example in which nagpalit ta. However, the difference is that in here, wala ta ni bayad og cash. Okay? Ato siya giutang. That's why in here nakabutang on account. So the journal entry for this one is i-debit nimo ang asset account, which is the office or IT equipment, amounting to 8,700, and then credit to the liabilities account, or to be specific, accounts payable account, to recognize our obligation nga in the near future na atay bayranan amounting to 8,700. Next, purchased cabinets, tables, chairs, and other fixtures from Glass and Walls Trading for 72,000 with a down payment and issued a promissory note for the balance. Parehas ra ni sa atong 2 previous examples in which nagpalit ta. However, for this one, naatay gi-involve nga cash and then naapud tay giutang. The journal entry for this one is a debit to your furniture and fixtures amounting to 72,000 and a credit to your cash for 28,800, and take note, notes payable for 43,200. So in here, makita ninyo nga dili accounts payable atong gigamit, but notes payable. So unsa man ang kalahian sa duha? So in notes payable, it is always documented. So naa gyud na siya always og promissory note. However, for accounts receivable, dili necessary nga naa kay promissory note. As long as naa kay utang sa iya ha, so that's already an accounts payable. So if sa situation naka-specify siya nga naay promissory note, then we will use note payable. But if wala naka-specify nga naay note, na nakabutang ra diri is the balance is on account, then that is account payable. So to get the 28,800 and the 43,200 amounts, here is the calculation. Pareha ra sa previous example in which the down payment equals invoice amount times percentage, so 72,000 times 40%, that is 28,800. So mauni siya atong gibayaran in cash as down payment. Next, the balance on the promissory note, so it is just the invoice amount minus the down payment. Invoice amount, which is 72,000 minus 28,800 nga down payment, which is 43,200. So that is the amount for our notes payable. Next example, on September 15, 2022, entered into a loan agreement with BPI for 220,000 with proceeds amounting to 200,000 and a service charge of 20,000.
Normally, if mag-loan ta sa bank, dili necessarily nga ang imo loan amount amo gyud ang imong ma-receive. Kay ara pa may mga service charges, naa pa say mga other fees sa banks. So in here, in this example, ang atong na-receive lang nga cash is 200,000. So that's what we call as proceeds. Kay there was a service charge amounting to 20,000. So the journal entry for this one is a debit to cash. For 200,000, debit bank fees, which is an expense and has a normal debit balance for 20,000. And a credit sa imong loan payable. So meaning na kay obligation in the future to pay a loan amounting to 220,000. Next example, paid salary of the office assistant for 10,000 on October 15, 2022. In here, nagbayad ka sa sweldo sa office assistant. Okay, so that is your expense. The journal entry to record this one is salaries expense 10,000, and since naibanan man imong cash pagbayad nimo sa office assistant, that's why you will have to credit cash for the same amount nga 10,000. Next example, on October 19, 2022, received 5,200 from Blacklist International as commission from selling its product. The entry to record this one is a debit to your cash 5,200 since nakadawat man ka og kwarta nga commission from Blacklist International. And then a credit to your income amounting to 5,200. So again, this is part of your clip nga acronyms na belong dito ang income, which has a normal credit balance. Okay, so that ends our special session for today. Hope you understand something from our examples. And if you have any questions or clarifications, please don't hesitate to inform me or to write it down in the comment section below. Thank you, everyone.